Hi guys, hope we're doing alright. For today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to add a distressed rip into your crochet work. This is actually a surprisingly easy thing to learn, so especially if you're a beginner, this is a really helpful thing to know how to do. Just because if you find a crochet pattern that you want to modify a little bit, doing stuff like this is a really easy way of personalizing designs and leveling up your crochet in general. I'm currently working on a jumper that has a lot of distressed detail within it. As you can see, I've added quite a lot. So you could either keep things super simple or make something super distressed with this technique. It's completely up to you guys. I've been adding these rips to my work for quite some time because, as I say, I just like the way that it looks, and for me it just makes crochet pieces more my style, so I wear them more often. As for what you're going to need, really when it comes to the materials that you'll be using, you can use whatever you want, but from my experience I do think that this looks a lot better with thinner yarn. But obviously this is completely up to you guys. For me to demonstrate this technique, I'm going to show you how to add a rip onto a panel of double crochets. Then I'm also going to show you how you can include this with slightly more complex stitch patterns, just in case you want to work it in a piece that isn't just a repeat of one stitch. Also, I should mention that I filmed this video a few months back and I forgot to film an intro and an outro, so that is why there is going to be a change of location. Right, let's get straight into it. I'm approaching where I want to add my rip, and I am gonna pick how many stitches I want my rip to extend along. So I want to skip these 3 stitches. So to create a rip that is as big as these 3 stitches, I first need to extend this loop that is on my hook, like so. And if we see here, this loop now extends through 1, 2, 3 of these stitches, kind of meeting at the end point of that 3rd stitch. So keeping that length of our loop, I'm gonna yarn over and pull through without tightening anything, and then I should be able to do my double crochet into what would be my 4th double crochet, or the next available double crochet after the ones that you've skipped. And what we're looking for here is that these double crochets either side of the rip aren't leaning kind of inwards or outwards, so everything looks nice and even. I'm going to then finish off this row and do a similar thing for my next row. So I'm going to show you again. We're going to reach that double crochet like this. Then we're going to get the loop on our hook, extend it to the length, which is going to be the same as our row below. I kind of still use these 3 double crochets as a marker as to how long this would be, but it's also kind of easy to see by looking at the loop below how big that one is, and then just repeat the size in our next row before then finding that double crochet, which is here, and doing our double crochet and just checking that everything looks alright, and that looks pretty good to me, so I'm ready to start my next row. So you could stick with skipping these 3 stitches and creating this long chain, or what you could do is you could vary the size of these rips to create a more kind of uneven texture. So I've been skipping 3 stitches. I'm going to skip this double crochet here as well, so that's going to bring my total skipped stitches into 4 this time. So this loop needs to stretch a little bit further, and I double check that this is the right size before then doing my next stitch. And as you can see, we've now skipped an extra stitch, but I'm actually not going to do this. I'm going to show you how to decrease the amount of stitches. So I actually only need to stretch this loop to the length of 2 stitches, like so. And then I'm going to chain 1 and do my double crochet, like so. So this means that in my next row, I can put a double crochet into that chain that I made, like so. Now, because I've added this 1 chain in and we were effectively skipping 3, we have a total of 2 chains that are skipped here. So I need to extend my loop to the length of 2 chains or 2 stitches before I then continue with my pattern. So I'm now going to show you how to turn everything back into the stitches that you were working with originally. So I now have a total of 2 stitches that I'm skipping with this because I had a total of 3, and then I added 1 back in. Now that means that I need to chain 2 because I'm adding 2 double crochets back in. 1, 2, and now I'm going to place that double crochet here and continue with the rest of my row. So now I'm going to be doing 1 double crochet into each chain, and I'm going to continue with my row, and you can just double check, but I know for a fact that the amount of stitches I started off with I now have back in my row. Obviously I'm using chunky yarn because it's going to be easier for you guys to see, but it's going to look a lot cuter in smaller yarn. So that's how you do it on double crochets. I'm going to quickly show you guys how to do this on a V-stitch, just so if you use a slightly more complex stitch pattern, you can still use this technique. So I've quickly built up this panel of V-stitches to show you what it would look like on a different stitch. Now it'll be easy for me to skip a whole 3 stitches just to skip a cluster, but I'm actually going to skip 5 stitches. So if I was to count those 5 stitches, it would be a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. So my final double crochet after that extended chain needs to go in here before I then do my next cluster. So the loop actually has to be quite long, so that looks about good to me. So I'm going to yarn over, pull that through, and do that double crochet as so, before then repeating the pattern of double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. I kind of have an option of sticking with these 5 or doing something else. I'm actually going to go back to 3, so I'm gonna actually do my cluster all around here. So double crochet, that's still leaving out those 5 stitches. So if I was to continue this pattern, I would stretch it the same amount and continue my pattern. But I'm actually going to add back in that chain and that other double crochet before I then create a loop that is around 3 stitches long. So as you can see, that loop is a lot shorter, and I did want to mention that for this type, I'm not actually going to add back in the chains because these stitches go around chains anyway, so I don't really need anything for my stitch to go in. So you can introduce your stitches back in just on top of these extended chains. It's completely up to you. I kind of do both just depending on whichever is easiest. But I'm ready to add back in that V-stitch and finish off my row. I added an extra row like this. I have 3 stitches to add back in because this first row I skipped 5 stitches and then I added back in 2. So these kind of represent 3 stitches, which is literally just a cluster of double crochet, chain 1, double crochet around this extended chain here. And that's going to be how I finish off this rip. And this is what the rip looks like once I've added those stitches back in. As you can see, things kind of get a little bit messy around the rip, but I personally think this adds to the kind of distressed effect. It's actually pretty easy to implement this technique into a stitch that's a little bit more complex. It just takes a little bit more thinking as to how many stitches you're taking away and adding back in. That's going to be it from me today. I'm going to talk more about these rips when I make a video about the jumper that I'm making, which will happen probably in the next few months, so make sure you're subscribed for that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and comment and make sure that you're subscribed because I post new crochet content every Sunday. I also sell crochet patterns, so I will leave my Ravelry and Etsy linked in the description below. Also go ahead and check out all of my other social media. Right, you guys have a good rest of your day and I will see you next week. Bye.